This is the Compulite Vibe console. The idea for the Vibe came in from a couple of years ago. We were walking around Plaza looking at all the consoles that were on show at the exhibition. And most of the consoles all looked very similar. They all had a number of touch screens, they had a bank of faders, and they had lots of buttons. And we decided that it wasn't necessarily a good reason for this. It's perhaps been developed over a number of years, and people have added features and functions because people have asked for them, and not necessarily stepped back and thought about whether they're really required. So we looked at that and thought, well, maybe we can do something a bit different. So we looked at people using their touch screens and their tablet PCs, and decided that maybe we should look at building a lighting console based around the touchscreen environment. And this is how the Vibe was born. The idea basically is that we have the minimum number of buttons on the console itself. So we keep to a numeric keypad. So for fast fixture selection, you really need to have the hard buttons. We have 4 wheel encoders, so you can operate the parameters while you're looking at the stage. And then we have a trackball for controlling the pan tilt movement. In addition, we've got 20 hard flash keys or go keys or keys that can be used for any function across the bottom of the console. And then the main part of the console is the 24-inch 10-finger multi-touch HD screen. This uses much of the drag and drop features that you find on your smartphone. So we can have different layouts, we can fast switch between the layouts, and we can create new layouts and customise layouts as we want them. We go to the patch screen. We're using a lot of drag and drop features, so we can grab any fixture. If we want to set it to a new DMX address, we just drag it to a new address and there it is patched. We can do the same with fixtures. We can drag a new fixture onto the patch table and add it to the show. Or we can use a more conventional pop-up dialog system where we select how many fixtures we want to add and then choose a DMX address for those fixtures. We can have different playback layouts and different programming layouts. So this is a standard programming screen. We have a live view at the top of the screen showing us the status of all the fixtures. So if I select fixtures, we see the status of all the parameters on the screen. And if I want to edit one of the parameters, I can just touch the key at the top and we get a parameter selector come up at the side here. So we have a picker to control the colour, either in a CMY format or we can do it in HSI. We can also have 4 parameter wheels, and these are tied into the 4 fixed wheels over here. So we have CYM and colour wheel on here. We have the same parameters on the displays above the screens here, and you can use any combination of the wheels or the on-screen wheels to edit the colours. We also have direct access to some basic effects from here, so we can get the fixtures to do a circle or a fly-in or a figure of 8, all from the same parameter selector. And if we want to, we can go into the proper effects engine and generate and edit the effects. The effects are created by adding patterns onto the parameters. So here we're running a sine wave on pan, cosine wave on tilt, and we also have a step running on the dimmer. The icon below is showing us the order that we're running across the fixtures. So at the moment we're starting from the first fixture, going through to the end. If we want to, we can change that by dragging a new pattern onto that. And we're now doing the fixtures from each end into the centre. You can also add extra waveforms onto this. So we can make a more complex effect by piling one waveform on top of the other. And we can edit the timing for each individual effect or the whole effect altogether and create really comprehensive effects on multiple patterns, multiple parameters. We have a playbacks page. So we have on-screen playbacks. We can have as many playbacks as you want. You can change the colour, the size of the playbacks, you can change the function of all the buttons to change the function of the faders. You can add playbacks to playbacks to create a more complex playback with individual rate control. All the faders are touchscreen here, but once you have your finger on the fader, it doesn't matter if your finger wanders off the fader, you still have control of that playback. So you can still look at the stage and have control of that playback. You can control you can change the settings for all of the playback functions. So for each button, you can choose a function for the button. So we can say, right, we want the button at the bottom to be a go key, and the button at the top is going to be a flash key. So we can change all of the functions of all of the buttons and all of the faders. We can also assign these 20 buttons to any of the playbacks. So this here is doing a go for the first playback here. So we have a go key and we can run through a whole sequence of cues here. The second one here is doing flash for the playback. We also have combinations of different types of playback. So we have an A-B crossfade playback, and then we have individual cue keys. All of the displays are user customizable. So if you want to, we can add a new page. So we add a new blank page to our desktop, and we can then decide from our picker menu here what we want to put on that desktop. So if we had a really simple show, we might want to put just a crossfade playback on there. So we can go to A-B playback. So now we have just one A-B playback on the page. We can drag that to wherever we want it on the page and adjust the size of it, make it as big or small as we want. We could also have a more complex page. So if we had a really complicated show, we could add playbacks to that. So we can add one playback to the bottom left, and we can then duplicate that so we have additional playbacks. And then we can change the colour of the playbacks so you can identify each type of playback by a different colour. There's still some work to do on the software, so we have a continual developing process. The idea of bringing it to the show is to get user feedback, to make sure that people like the concept, and we've had excellent feedback about the whole concept of a touchscreen environment. Everybody really seems to like the flexibility of making it dynamic. And one of the advantages we have of using that sort of environment is that we like to call it syntax free. The system doesn't have a dedicated syntax. You can type things in different orders and the system will know the direction you're wanting to go. And if you type the incorrect key sequence, it'll pop up with the dialogue. For instance, if I go fixture 1, group 89 store, it'll store that as a group. But if I go fixture 5, group store, it'll pop up with the dialogue box because it knows that I didn't enter a group number and it was missing information, so it's now asking me to enter the group number that I want to store it at. And that concept runs throughout the console. If you don't complete a sequence properly, it'll pop up with a dialogue box allowing you to enter the information that you need. The concept is, again, based on phones and tablet PCs. We don't want to have a manual for the console. The idea will be that you'll be able to work it out yourself using standard touch features, so dragging and dropping, double clicking, dragging and holding on stuff to be able to work out how to use it yourself without going through pages and pages of manuals. Hardware-wise, it can control up to 255 DMX universes, so it's quite a powerful console. It has 4 universes on the back. We have built-in Wi-Fi, so we're going to provide cloud storage, so wherever you're operating on your show using Wi-Fi, you can store your show up to the cloud. You can store screen layouts separately, so each user can store his own screen layouts. So you'll be able to go to any console, get onto the cloud and download your show from there. The whole hardware system is multi-angle, so we can tilt the whole thing back and lay it flat, or we can lift it up to any operating angle we want. As I said earlier, we can plug in the wings to the desk as well. So if you don't like the on-screen faders and you really feel you need a physical fader, we have a whole range of hardware fader wings from the existing consoles that will connect into this console and allow you to have manual control with physical faders. And we'll have an iPhone Android app to go with it as well to use as a remote control.